Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to today's message. As usual, I am super grateful to have you guys tuning in and can't wait to see who is able to join me today. So, you know the drill. Definitely drop me a comment. Let me know where in the world you are tuning in from. And I can't wait to dive into this particular message with you guys, because this is going to be a message that is perfectly timed. My hope is, if you're in a position of making any sort of decision in your life right now. And what I want to share with you guys today is something that time and time again, when I've been faced with a really challenging decision to make, or multiple at the same time, which is basically what I feel like I'm in the midst of at the moment, I keep coming back to this same way. You know, sometimes I try and make my decisions in different ways, and basically at the end of the day, all of my best decisions, my most aligned decisions have come from this particular strategy that I want to share with you guys today. So I want to hear from you. I would love if you have strategies around making tough decisions and what's worked out for you in the past. I would absolutely love to hear them. I really want to make this a co-creative space. You know, every single one of these messages is for the purpose of building, you know, and expanding a community of, you know, different perspectives from different people who have different experiences, so that we can really test out different strategies and see what works best for us and what is most empowering, because there is no one size fits all in our personal development, in living our lives. And so it's really, really valuable to have an expanded range of perspectives and experiences in order for you to push against and test out and see what works best for you, so that you can become your most empowered leader of your own life. All right, and so today is no different, and that's really, I'm going to share with you guys something that's been kind of taking up a lot of my energy recently, and hasn't been an easy choice or decision to make. I've had a couple of these going on, and again, just wanting to share this particular strategy with you that's worked out time and time again in my own life, all right? And in those of clients that I've worked with and friends and family that I support as well. All right, so a big shout out to everybody who's able to join me right now. I've got Javier and Daryl and Ariane and Philippe, and Jose is in the house. Awesome to see each and every one of you guys. Thanks so much for being here. So today, let's get into it. Clarity of what is most meaningful to you, right? Not others, to you, will determine what pathway is healthiest for you. All right. Now, in any one of our biggest decisions that we make in our lives, we really need to have, you know, the intention behind the decision and what we choose to do be the healthiest for us. All right. And what do I mean by healthiest? I mean that it allows you to be the most expanded version of yourself. You know, it allows you to have well-being in the areas of your emotions, your mentality, your physical health, and also your spiritual health, right? Like something, being connected to something bigger than just yourself, right? Purpose and meaning in your life, all right? And so if we make that the intention behind our decisions, right, we're looking for what is the healthiest possible pathway for myself, right, to reach my highest potential. And do not mistake that as being a selfish act, by the way, because anything that is healthiest for you is ultimately going to be healthiest for all those who are involved with you in any capacity. Okay, so know that choosing health for yourself is always a decision that is best for everybody that you engage with. Okay, so don't fall into that trap of selfishness, right? The so-called selfish pathway of focusing on what's healthiest for you. Just a caveat. All right, and what I mean by clarity over what is most meaningful to you, right? We might look at this as your set of values as an individual. And what happens is those of us who struggle with making tough decisions, like I think this is, you know, for every single human being. We can struggle with making tough decisions, okay? And what keeps us stuck and confused from my perspective the most is when we're not living in our own values, or we're not clear on our own values. Because I guarantee you, right here, right now, and every other moment that's passed before you, before this moment right now, you've been living in a set of values. Now, those values have either been consciously determined and courageously aligned with on your part, or you've basically just defaulted into somebody else's set of values, or a collective set of values. Now, that's what's happening all day, every day. We're all living in sets of values. But what determines whether we're living a very confused, very de-energized, unmotivated, self-doubting, depending on others kind of way of being that feels kind of entrapping and depressing, but we're just not sure, right? We're constantly confused, versus living with freedom, fulfillment, energy, clarity, direction, purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. All of those aspects is really whose set of values are we living in, okay? And this is what I want to bring it to, and I'm going to highlight some of the deeper work that I've just discovered for myself today, based on being confronted with some pretty challenging decisions that I've had to make in my life very recently. And so what I want to ask you is to think about whether or not right now in your life where you might be struggling with a particular decision. All right, so keep that in mind. If you want to share it, go ahead and share it in the comments, and I'll engage with you guys as I always do after I have this little spiel, and want to hear from you guys and have you co-create this space with me. But think about, what is that difficult decision that you're umming and ahhing about, you're confused about? I think every single human walking the face of the planet has at least one or two of these major decisions that they're being confronted with in their life, right? And what makes the difference with the confusion versus the clarity is what I want to share with you guys today. And basically what that is kind of a process that plays out. So at the end of the day, the more clearly defined your value system is, right, the things that you as an individual deem most personally significant, not the infiltration of societies or other people that you admires, their values and their shoulds and their opinions and their experiences, not their set of values, but actually yours as the individual that you are. And that can oftentimes be quite scary to define, because we know that when we clearly define our values, we get to clearly see how we're not aligned with other people in our lives. And those other people in our lives could be those who are family members, those who we rely on to earn a wage through, those who are in intimate partnership with us, and we can fear a sense of loss, right? That can keep us in a sense of lacking our own clarity over our own value system in order to maintain connection, harmony, and a sense of belonging, right? But at the end of the day, we're never fulfilled down those paths. I don't know about you, but I've been down several of those, trying to live in other people's values in order to maintain a sense of connection and belonging. And it hasn't really worked out for me and my fulfillment. And basically, what we want to look at is the fact that the more clearly defined your value system is, the more opportunity it gives you to align with what matters most to you on the individual level, right? And when you align with what is most valuable to you as an individual, the more integrity of character you get to experience, right? Because you're in full integrity and aligning with your clearly defined set of values, right? And the more integrity of character you experience within yourself, the more you're going to trust and believe in yourself, right? And the more you trust and believe in yourself, the easier decisions become to make for you. All right, the more difficult they are, the clearer you are, right? And the more trust and belief you have in yourself, because you've got a clearly defined set of values that are significant to you, most meaningful to you, and you're courageous enough to align with those, giving you that sense of real integrity with yourself, that strength within yourself, that unshakability within yourself, right? That generates that trust and belief in who you are, and that sense of safety that you can trust in your own self-leadership, right? Because you're in full alignment, in full integrity, the easier decisions become to be made, right? And even though you can't know what you don't know, right? We're all experimenting with every decision that we make in this life, right? Because all we have is the present moment. We can't predict the future, right? But we can do our best to make sure that from what place we are deciding from is in full integrity to the highest of our ability, in total alignment with the clarity of our value system, right? Then what we can do is actually generate the highest level of certainty possible for making a decision. And basically the certainty that we can take with us from a decision made from the highest place of alignment with our own highest values is one in which, even if it turns out that the result from our decision that was made in the highest amount of integrity, even if it turns out to throw us challenges, obstacles, maybe not work out in the fashion that we had intended for it to work out, maybe our decision, that we made ends up being not the right one. Maybe there would have been a better decision. But at the end of the day, when we make that from a place of integrity, we get to take the certainty of, even if I'm faced with an obstacle, even if it turns out I'm so-called wrong, even if, it presents a challenge for me in my future, because I've got that clarity, that certainty, that integrity, and that trust and belief within myself and my character, now, no matter what the challenge and the obstacle, I believe that I can figure it out, right? I can figure out what the challenge is. I can break through the challenge because I've got such a strong certainty in my own trust and belief in my ability to mitigate the uncertainty and to grow through every challenge or obstacle I'm presented with, and, not negate my past self for not having the future wisdom that I now have based on making a move. Now you are generating the only rational certainty any of us can ever have, which is within ourselves. Our certainty and our trust within ourselves to always figure it out. All right, so I believe from my own experience, and I'd love to hear from you guys as well, that the clearer I become of my own set of values that are always going to shift and change as I grow and evolve as an individual, the clearer I am at knowing what they are and how I align with them, the easier difficult decisions become, right, to make. And the more empowered I am as an individual to know whatever challenge, obstacle I'm faced with, I know and trust that I will always figure it out and I'll always grow from it. All right. So there's no, fear of loss. There's no fear of failure from that perspective. But we have a fear of loss and we have a fear of failure when we are not clearly defining our own unique set of values, fully aligning with them with integrity, and therefore not having the trust and belief within ourselves. So we outsource, our potential and our direction to other people's opinions. All right. And that leaves us in that state of confusion, living in other people's values as some way of trying to gain the certainty that is a fallacy, because the only certainty you can ever truly experience and generate that it has any sort of rationality to it is the one by which we generate that certainty that we can always figure it out, that we can always break through, that we're always going to grow based on our own relationship with self through trust and belief, alignment with values. All right, so let me give you a quick example that basically this morning, I made a pretty challenging decision yesterday, and I've been really wanting to make sure that everything in my being is in alignment. All right. And so in my journaling today, I went back to my highest values. All right. Because I really do believe that your unique fulfillment in this life is determined by how aligned you are with your own unique values, not the set of values of anybody else. All right, because we all know, and for those of you listening to me for any space of time, you've heard this a million times from my mouth, which is the number one regret of the dying is I wish I had have had the courage to live a life true to myself rather than one I felt was expected of me. All right, that's the difference between living in somebody else's set of values versus your own. All right, and basically what I did was I took it back to my values, and I thought, okay, now is a time to get even more clearly defining of those values. And so I'll just share with you my top 3, all right? And basically what I found is a new level of clarity that's helped me make and solidify tough decisions, right? Is number 1, my highest number 1 value above all else is an intimate depth of connection and love, all right? Now, my second highest value is that of meaningful contribution, and my third highest value is that of self-actualization. Now, how I utilize those top 3 values that I'm sharing with you right now is basically I use my ability to actualize my own potential and self-awareness to want to share with you guys in order to have some sort of meaningful contribution that's authentic, that's aligned, that feels like it's me, sharing something that could resonate with others in the hope that could be meaningfully contributing to their lives, no matter where they're at. Something may resonate, something may inspire them to step into a new level of their awareness and potential and actualization. And ultimately, I want to have that depth of intimate connection and love, right? And I hold a really high standard for that. Now, I want to say before I explain some of the clarity that I got today, you want to make sure that your highest values aren't solely dependent on other people, all right? So you could look at my highest values and say, oh, intimate depth of connection and love, that requires at least another person. Oh, meaningful contribution, that requires at least somebody to contribute to, all right? And the self-actualization, that seems pretty clearly an individual task, right? But the fact of the matter is that all of my highest values, and you want this for yourself as well, I first and foremost meet those values and those needs within myself. They're not dependent on anybody else, all right? Because actualizing my potential is up to me. And of course, in my relationships, I require different dynamics that support that and nurture that value. And then my meaningful contribution, well, I've set up a dynamic within myself that I basically have an equality of giving and receiving between different parts of myself. That sounds really weird, but I contribute to myself that generates a whole lot of meaning. And that's time that I direct towards listening to myself, hearing myself, validating myself, challenging myself, all those different things that I do that meaningfully contribute to my well-being. And then my top value of intimate depth of connection and love I establish within myself. Now, I want all of those highest values enhanced and optimized and encouraged in all of my relationship dynamics. And this is what I got some deeper clarity on actually today. And so what that was I've got my journal in front of me, but I outlined, those top highest values. And then I started asking myself, well, what do I require in order for me to feel as though that value is really being met and upheld, like the highest standard, the most loving standard to reinforce well-being, all right, and expansion of myself and anybody else I interact with. And I started writing down, the aspects of what those are, for me to feel as though my value for intimate depth of connection and love is being really met, right? And then I listed those aspects out, and then I went on to the next one for my meaningful contribution, and then I went to the next one, my self-actualization. And what I found was the same set of requirements were applicable to all three of my values. And basically what I was getting clarity on was, in order to have, who do I spend my time with? Who are my relationships? Who are the people that I invest my energy into, right? And basically these common themes, they were basically, in order for me to meet my highest values in relationship with anybody else, there were certain, strategies for interaction or requirements of interaction that needed to take place. All right. So let me share this with you so that you can do this work for yourself to identify your highest values and what your requirements are in any relationship dynamics that you invest your energy in order to make sure that you are definitely living in your highest values with those other people. So for me, the commonalities were then for the interaction with any other relationship, in order for me to feel like I'm living in those highest values of intimate depth of connection and love, meaningful contribution and self-actualization, needed to be respect. All right, respect, mutual respect between anybody I'm in relationship with. Also needed to be open-hearted and open-minded. Also have this genuine sense of equality of human value. All right, just no question, unconditional equality of human value. Positive regard for one another, right? Instead of this negative projection, but a positive regard for this other human being. Definitely integrity, people who are aligned within their own authenticity. They don't try and mold themselves to please another, basically. Humility is a really big one in my book, having a humility, not needing to be superior and also not placing yourself as inferior, right? Having that equality and that humility. Positive expectancy, right? So being more solution driven, not problem focused, which is more so having a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. Honoring of individuals' self-direction, which is huge for me. Nobody can know you better than you know yourself. Those who have earned your trust in believing that they have your best interests at heart, you can accept what feels right to you in terms of some challenge based on some blind spots that you may have. That's all healthy, right? But at the end of the day, we want to honor each other's individual self-direction and also self-responsibility in all areas, right? Responsibility for your own fulfillment, your own emotions, your own direction, all of that, right? That's super important. When I looked at my relationships with people in my life, what do I need in order to establish the right environment for me to know that I'm going to be able to live in my highest values, and the hope is that they can live in their highest values as well, right? Now, getting that clarity. Oh, and the last one is one in which I feel like it's so crazy that in the English language, we actually don't have a word for it. We don't have a word in our dictionary to mean this thing. And I've mentioned it to you guys before. The word I've mentioned in the past has been the word compersion. Now, compersion is a word that was originates from a French word that I won't go into right now, but it's basically generated and developed from the polygamist community. And basically it was originally supposed to be like the opposite of jealousy. Okay, and basically it means that you can find love and joy in or pleasure in your partner's pleasure with other people, basically. All right, now the way I want to use it is in this Sanskrit word that I just really love, and the word is mudita. So it's M-U-D-I-T-A. Okay, and the basic Sanskrit meaning of this word is the pleasure that comes from delighting in other people's well-being. Okay, now I don't know why we don't have a word for this, the opposite of jealousy, or that joy that we can feel like when we witness somebody else's like highest potential being accessed, their well-being, their joy, right? To really engage in that. It seems so crazy that we do not have an English word or equivalent for that, but we can use this Sanskrit word mudita, and that is so important to me, right? It's at the basis and the forefront of everything that I'm most driven to, experience in my life and create more experiences of for others, all right? And so when I got all this clarity, around this deeper set of clarity over my already previously established values that are still in total alignment with me right now, it allowed me to have much more clarity, right, of what is most meaningfully significant to me and meaningful in terms of my value system. And that basically allows me the opportunity to more deeply align with my values, which generates a higher sense of integrity within my own character, which therefore generates higher levels of trust and belief in myself. So even if the decision that's made turns out to present more challenges that weren't foreseen or whatever, then basically it doesn't matter, because I have the trust and belief in myself that I'll always grow, I'll learn, I'll stay in integrity, I'll get clearer, I have a growth mindset around it, and I'll figure it out. All right, and so that's what can happen in terms of the clearer we get on our value systems and align with them, the easier tough decisions get to be made. All right. And like I said, because we cannot predict the future, we do not know, right? Every decision is a bit of a gamble and a bit of a risk. But, we don't want to be stuck in indecisiveness. And the more we are confused, it really is in direct proportion to the lack of clarity that we have in our own set of meaningful values. All right. So I hope that me sharing this with you guys gives you kind of a bit of a sense of the value of determining your own values. All right. And to know that our whole life is filled with decisions. And they're going to be tough, and we're not going to have all the answers ahead of time. And so we have to have like our best lens for making the healthiest decisions for ourselves, which, as I said at the beginning of this message, is always the healthiest decision to make for anybody that you engage with, is basically to know our values and have that lens, all right? And to make sure that our pathway forward is in alignment with what matters most to us, all right? And that is going to lead us to our healthiest selves, our most purposeful selves, our most fulfilled and free selves, okay? So that's my message. I definitely want to jump into the chat now and see who's been able to join me. And also, if you've dropped any comments, words of wisdom, experiences, or any questions that you may have, now's the time to do so, because I can't wait to connect with you. All right, so let me see. So, as I said, I've got Javier in the house, and Daryl, and Arlen, and Philippe, and Javier. Oh, thank you for those kind words all the way from San Diego. Good to have you as always, my friend. And Daryl's from Canada. Always great to have you back. And hello to Jose. And Philippe, love to be here, Vanessa. Oh, well, I love having you here, as usual. Good to see you. And thank you, Javier. Loving that you're loving my earrings today. And Elliot's in the house. Good to see you. And Wilden from Peru. Good to see you as well. And Daryl, the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. Tony Robbins, absolutely. Well contributed, my friend, as usual. And Bill's here. Hello and much love to you. And Daryl, today is Thanksgiving in Canada. Oh, well, happy Thanksgiving to you and all of the Canadians that might tune in. Hope you're having an amazing day with friends and family and lots of gratitude and all the rest of it. That's awesome. And Haru, shine on, divine one. Much love and gratitude. coming right back at you, my friend. Good to see you. And Daryl, I wanted to thank you for your public service. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I want to thank you for showing up to so many of these messages and always contributing. And I love how you bring in different perspectives and share these great, really timely quotes with us and these conversations as well. So thank you so much, Daryl. So appreciated. And Jose, yay. Always love it when you can join. I always know you're going to ask some cool question or contribute some great experience. I love it. So, Jose, Vanessa, how to face the moral relativism. Oh, God. Relativism? Oh my God. All right, I'm losing my mind. Seems like in today's society, what is of high value for you, for somebody else, is not of value at all. Exactly. For example, fidelity in a relationship, you can be easily judged by others for being loyal, but not because of not any more of value, but because it's a huge majority likes to live now in resume is a big challenge. Living your values when many think you are wrong, even if you are convinced that what is correct thing to do. A total mix of moral, human psychology, and religion. I love it, Jose. Big question. I appreciate it. I love expanding my mind with these questions and seeing what comes out. So this is something I didn't mention, but I'm grateful that you've brought it up, because no two people have the exact identical set of values. Okay, so it's not like we just have to go and find somebody and those people in our lives that have the identical values, because just doesn't work that way, all right? And what we actually need to do instead is be more intelligent about how our values are met and how they align, and how our values being met actually help other people meet their set of values. So the clearer people in relationship can be about what they value most, the more likely they are to have a really healthy, caring relationship that supports everybody in that relationship at meeting their values. Now, most of us don't live in that world, right? Most of us are still trying to live, as you're pointing out, to the values of society, to religion, to our parents, to, any number of groups, to our partner, whoever it is, right? We're trying to live in their set of values. And then we get into this question of moral and ethics. And I'm seeing a lot of that right now, right? Where there's a lot of this conversation and debate about the individual doing versus doing what's best for conforming to society, right? And all these ideas that we have about morals and ethics and who's a good person and all the rest of it, right? So basically what I found from my own personal experience is when I try and live to the values of my people in my external world, I always fail. All right. And I always end up depleted, self-doubting, unable to move forward, stuck in confusion, and, losing my sense of value and meaning. And even though I might be surrounded by people and belonging in the group, I feel really lonely and isolated in their presence because I'm not myself. I'm not showing up and bringing myself to the table. Right. And on the flip side of that, I found that when I take the time to get clear on what I value and know that it's going to generate a lot of fears, I've had to let go of some relationships recently because they're not in alignment, all right? And that's pretty terrifying, right? It's pretty scary for us, for our fear-driven self, right? Because there's always a payoff in living and being a certain way that gets you a sense of connection or acceptance from other people based on what their hierarchy of values is, right? There's always a payoff for that, but there's also always a cost, right? And so you have to decide, do I want to have internal peace and have to mitigate some external chaos, right, and challenge? Or do I want to have as much external, peace or harmony as possible at the expense of having to have a lot of internal chaos, all right? So that choice is up to us. And I know I've lived a majority of my life with the internal chaos and avoidance of wanting to get the clarity over my values because I knew it would cost me relationships and, create conflict and challenge and maybe isolation, and my fear of loneliness or losing connection or missing out could get in the way of that, right? I lived majority of my life from that place, and it takes a lot of courage to go the other way. And it actually took me to get basically to the bottom of realizing this is so painful, trying to live in other people's values, that I really had no other way out than to discover some other way, all right? Because it was killing me basically. And hopefully we don't all have to get to that dark place in order to realize that it's actually the easier way is to take, that longer term perspective of owning and valuing inner peace over external peace, right? And knowing what comes with that, like it's always in balance. So it's just, where do you want the chaos? Do you want to deal with the chaos as an internal thing, right? So you're in this constant internal turmoil, or do you want to navigate in that in the external world? And like I said, your only certainty that you can ever have in life is the certainty that you can trust and believe in yourself to break through any inevitable challenge that life presents to you, all right? You're not avoiding any challenge, no matter whose values you're living in, all right? And so when you realize that, you stop wasting your time and energy in trying to live to the expectations and values of others, who nobody can know your values better than you, and nobody has identical values to you. So you're always going to have a sense of internal chaos if you don't get clear on your values and align with them courageously. If you know that, then you stop wasting that energy in that, it looks like the easy route, right? But the easy route in the short term always becomes the hardest route in the long term. So, it might seem challenging, and it is, and it's a constant evolution to get clear on what you value, right? It takes work, it takes self-awareness, it takes self-reflection, it takes practice, it takes testing values out and seeing whether they're right or wrong, or experiences and decisions and a lot of wrong decisions and all the rest of it to get that clarity. But you realize that is setting you up for long-term fulfillment, freedom, and that inner peace. And when you have inner peace, you take that wherever you go, and people will come at you with their chaos. And yeah, it might not feel the greatest. It might feel challenging, but now you know where you end. Your peace is in this bubble, right? And they begin, and you start to see other people's reaction to you not conforming to what they want as their fears, their challenges, their work, right? That it's not your responsibility, and you get to a place of unshakability in that presence of it. But you also don't subject yourself to self-abusive situations, right? One of the things I've been navigating is, because I have such high standards for connection, I've had to see, because it limits you, right? Your relationships no longer become about quantity, they become about quality. And it takes a lot of self-awareness and self-responsibility to meet you in that higher playing field, right? And because of that, I've also challenged myself on this and asked myself, are these standards that I hold, are they too high? Are they discounting the connections that I could have? All right. And that's something that I feel I've answered in terms of, if I can meet them for myself, then I know that they're possible. If I can't meet my high standards for myself, I'm not playing the right game, right? I'm probably living in a fantasy and in too much of a perfect, idealized fantasy about what could be possible in reality. But it also doesn't discount that you don't have to expect people to have it all together and be a certain way. For me personally, it just takes those elements that I listed to you before, right? Like the respect, the open-mindedness, open-heartedness, the equality of human value, no matter where we are, no matter who we are, no matter what we've done, not done, all of that. The positive regard for one another, the integrity to the highest capacity for ourselves, the humility, positive expectancy or having a growth mindset, right? We might not be everywhere we want to be, but we have a growth mindset. We believe that we can do it and we're on our way to progress. All right. Honoring each other's individual self-direction and taking self-responsibility. Okay. And that, of course, that mudita is the ultimate for me, which, like I said, is the Sanskrit word for the pleasure that comes from delighting in other people's well-being. So key. So for me, in my connections, they don't have to have it all together, but we do have to have that quality of environment. And I'm not willing to settle for anything less than that. And the reason is because I don't fear loss, because I'm able to generate all of that for myself. And I have had those experiences and interactions with other people that I'm very grateful for in my life. So I know it's possible, and I'd rather go for depth and the quality rather than some breadth of quantity, right? That doesn't always serve. So I hope that all resonates with you guys, and I so want to thank Jose for sharing that question and that experience of reality. I love it. And Paveen's here, much love to you. And yes, Javier, mudita, I love it. It's really, really great. Give it a look. I wish we had it in our English dictionaries or something that means the same, so we don't have to look to the polygamous community to give us a word for the antonym of jealousy, right? Or the Sanskrit word mudita, or there is a Norwegian word that I forget right now, but I only just came across it this morning, so I have no idea what it is, but there is another saying in Norwegian that another word in Norwegian that relates to that as well. But we've got compersion from the polygamous community, but it should be at least in the dictionary. Something should happen, right? And Jose, solidarity maybe is very close word to that meaning of that intention. Yes. So the intention of having that well-being for self, I think you're referring to, to have all aspects of yourself in alignment and have full well-being of that, and experience mudita for all other people who are experiencing that for themselves, right? To have that joy and that happiness, be instilled within you when you witness the well-being of other people and the joy and the happiness that they generate from that, right? Like, that is so expansive, right? To have that. That makes you want everybody in the world to be the healthiest. You want to see the best for everybody because it only benefits you. It only expands you. It only gives you more opportunities to feel joy, right? That's a great mindset to have, especially living in these times. I mean, all times, but I think with everything going on in the world right now, I think it's even more like we need to just bring it to the forefront, because the opposite of that is jealousy, is, this need for superiority and diminishment of others, right? And I can't stand for it. I don't know about you guys, but I just want to remove myself from environments where people are engaging in that. All right, la la la, and Sanford's in the house. Good to see you. And Jose, you are so welcome. Grateful that this is of value, and thank you for showing up and contributing. And Giannis, Kalimera to you. Oh, I'd love to be in Greece right now. And email, gratitude becomes magic when it's expressed prior to receiving the blessings. Oh, I love this. It's Dr. Joe Dispenza that says, gratitude is the basically what attracts everything that you desire to you, right? He has a really great saying for it that I totally forget. If you remember it, drop me a comment because it's really, really great. Is the ultimate form of receivership. That's it. Gratitude is the ultimate form of receivership, from Dr. John DeMartini. Not Dr. John DeMartini, Dr. Joe Dispenza. All right, let's get it right. I love that email. So true. And, it's really easy to access a sense of gratitude when you're in alignment, all right? When you're in your true nature. Basically, your set of values are like your North Star to your essential self, in the words of Martha Beck, right? That ability to know who you are and align with it, right? Despite the judgments and the desires of others for you to conform with their set of values or whatever. And when you do align, you actually, your essential self, its natural state is to be in awe of the beauty of everything around you, right? Is to be in a sense of gratitude, all right? And so when you're experiencing those ways of being and joy, right? And peacefulness, all of those things are actually a reflection of your alignment. Okay, and you can't find those states of being in more than a fleeting motion when you're not living to your set of values, when you're not operating with full integrity for who you are. All right, and that takes some work. Like I said, that's the work that I do. That's what I'm constantly doing every day. That's what I help and serve individuals to do. So there's loads of people who can support you on that, and to make sure that you are becoming your best leader. All right, but you need to have that clarity and that alignment. So I love it. And Sanford, when you get or reach that inner peace, it is phenomenal. Absolutely, Sanford. And you have been on such an amazing journey to access that, right? And so, yeah, absolutely. There is nothing better than having that deep sense of peaceful integrity that comes only from when you align with what matters most to you, what is really meaningful to you, and you have the courage to align fully with that. Despite the challenge and the chaos in your external world, you choose inner peace, which generates from that alignment. So I love that, Sanford. Thank you so much for sharing that experience. And Bill, living with your own standards keeps you focused on your goals. Absolutely. And also keeps you clear on what your goals are, right? Because a lot of times, like even recently, I've been one of the challenging decisions I've been contemplating on and getting to a place of decision with has been, I found, really tied to other people's standards, right? And I've had to really use my past history to make sure that I was making the decision based on what was aligned to me, not because it met so many people that I care about's standards or values, and it might make them very pleased and happy and whatever, and that would give me that payoff, right? That's a trap that I've been down too many times to count, right? And I know where it ends. I had to go through a few hard decisions to get to the place of realizing that, short-term gratitude and gratification of other people's values and their perceptions of you, if they're not aligned, if that decision is not aligned with your greatest well-being in the long term, like, you're going to have a lot of internal chaos that you're not going to be able to escape, right? And hopefully you make the decision, whether now or later, to clarify your values, get off the wrong paths, realign with the right paths, and realize you're going to experience external chaos and challenge at times. That's inevitable, but you are in control of your own inner peace, all right? Nobody's set of values are better than yours, right, for you to align with. So love that. Thank you, Bill. And Jose, Vanessa, if you don't mind, I want to share this positive statement that has been transforming my life in recent days. Yes, please. And it is this: I open my ways to love here and now. Oh, I love that, Jose. Thank you so much for sharing. And this is a really powerful and actually very resonating statement in my own life right now, because when you get clear on your values and you set high standards, one of the questions that I had for myself was, because it conflicts with other people and it can limit the quantity of relationships that you have in your life, I actually started asking myself, because I never want to have a blind spot, right? Like, I always want to make sure that I'm not, it's like what Tony Robbins would say, the walls that you build to protect yourself can become the walls that imprison you. All right. And so to open my ways to love here and now is so beautiful, right? Because you want to look at, are these standards that I'm setting, are they walls that I'm blocking love with? Or are they actually holding the highest standard so that love can flourish? And that's actually what I've had to go pretty deep with myself to make sure that, because we're so good at deceiving ourselves, right? So we want to make sure that what we are doing is supporting our ways and opening our ways to love here and now, right? Rather than being these self-protective walls that prevent love from flourishing. Okay, so I love that. And also here and now, right? You don't have to try and make yourself perfect in order to be open to love, right? As you know, we only have the present moment. The future doesn't yet exist. The past doesn't exist, but in your mind, right? And so that is so beautiful. I absolutely love that share. Thank you so much, Jose. So appreciate you guys for showing up today, for always contributing your words of wisdom, your experiences, anything that you are finding of personal value. It's going to support other people. So that's what these open conversations are. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you guys for showing up and doing that and co-creating this space with me. Really touches my heart and means the world to me. And I really hope that today's message has been of value to you. I hope it resonates with you. I hope it gets you thinking about, maybe I could, get some deeper clarity over my own values right now. Go on to, Javier says, thank you, Jose. Well said. I love that. And I also love it when you guys connect with one another and appreciate one another as well. So, double cool. Okay, so that's my message. Get that clarity of what is most meaningful to you, and it will determine the greatest lens for the healthiest pathway forward for you. Don't fall into the trap of perceiving that to be a selfish act, because it's anything but. All right, take a bigger perspective. The healthier you are, the more fulfilled you are, the more in alignment you are, the more you get to give of yourself to those around you who you choose to spend your energy and love with. All right, so much love for each and every one of you guys. If this is of value, please do share it, and definitely drop more comments or any more insights that you guys have. And I can't wait to connect with you guys very, very soon again. So much love, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Much love.